Let's solve some 11Q problems. Here we have a symmetrical position. Can you find a way for black to live? Pause the video, try to find the right move. There is a proverb which helps to know here, which is in a symmetrical position, you should usually play at the point which keeps the symmetry. So when we have the symmetry line here, some move along this line is quite often the right move, and in this case there's only one to consider. So we start by looking at b5 and check if it works. And one advantage of the symmetry is also we only have to consider a couple of different white responses. We only have like these three white moves here. These three down here are symmetrical. So if white plays c3, we will be able to play a6. We cannot play a4, but we can play a6, and then we're fine. White b4 doesn't do anything, we just capture. And white a4, we can play a6 Atari. So yes, the idea after b5 is we get to play either a4 or b6, and white cannot stop both. If we had played something else, for instance, if we play a4, then white happily plays b5, and it's a dead shape. We cannot find two eyes here. So we need to play b5. And yes, white played this one, which is a little bit tricky. We need to watch out, not play a4, but play this one to secure the eye on b6. It extends, but now we have two real eyes. Next one. Black to play and capture some stones. We have a white group of two stones here, which is suspiciously low on liberties. It only has the b4 and d3 liberties. So we should consider both of these Ataris. If the d3 Atari, white connects, and then this white group has 3 liberties, and we only have 2 liberties up here actually. We could capture one stone, but then white gets to turn on b5, and it's not that good for us. So instead we should Atari b4. Then when white captures, we can Atari again on d2, white connects, and then we can Atari either direction to run white towards the edge and kill all the white stones. So let's try this. Atari, capture, Atari, connect, and I believe in this case it doesn't matter if we play this Atari or this Atari, both are working. We just need to be a little bit careful now not to play d1, that would be suicide, we should play b1 instead. And just to put the other one on the board, if we play this Atari, now we cannot save both these two stones here and this 4 stones, because if we play here, white captures this group, and if we play here, if we play here, let's say white Ataris once, then comes back, we can live here. Actually there's even a coal, but let's say even if this is completely alive, we lost these 2 stones. So this is not as good as this one, which forcibly captures all of these white stones in a very nice way. Okay, here we have a capturing race. We should find the strategy to allow this black group here to kill this white group. And because we're at a more advanced level now, it's actually not enough only to consider the Ataris. So yes, this white group has 2 liberties, b4 and b5, but actually neither of these moves work for black to kill. If black plays b5, b4, then we're out of moves because we cannot play a5 ourselves. And if we just go down on a2, white makes it in time first. So actually the correct move is a5. And a5 does a couple of things. You know, it sets up a threat of a snapback on b4. It's one way of looking at the shape. But it also prevents white from approaching. White is not able to play either b5 or a6, which is quite nice. So even though we only have 2 liberties with our main group in this position, it's actually more like 3 liberties, because white cannot play one of them right away. So after a5, sort of the strongest resistance for white is simply to connect b4. Then we also cannot approach on either b5 or a3, so we have to spend a move on a2. Then white has to play a7 and we make it in time first. So let's put it on the board. Here, white connects. You see we cannot play b5, we cannot play a3. We go down here, but we have time to do this because white is in a similar situation. White cannot play b5 or a6, so white also has to just go down, and then we will make it in time first. And this is the only way for black to win this capturing race, because if black tries something like this one, black doesn't get that nice benefit of white not being able to approach. So now if white tries to take this time, white just plays here and wins. Alright, surrounded white group, we should find a way to kill. There's a vital point here on a2, which is obviously very useful for making eyes. So if we play d1 as black, white will happily play a2, and there's no way for us to prevent two eyes. We can play c1 to falsify the b2 eye, but then white will play a4, and a1 and a3 are real eyes. So we need to go to a2 directly, that's for sure. But there is a question then, but then cannot white make an eye on d1, making the eye on c1? But then we would be able to cut on b2, and again we have shortage of liberties saving us, because white will not be able to approach on a1 or a3. So that works out for us. We can cut here safely, and white is not able to approach because we just capture. Okay, now we have a ko shape here on the board. So now there's a question, can we kill this group outright, or will there be a ko? What's the best move for black? We could capture the ko here, but then yeah, at best we're just getting a ko fight. White may make a ko threat and then take back later. So we would rather avoid that if we can. And then we can think about, can we save these stones more directly? There are a couple of moves here to consider. Either d1 or d2, white can just like Atari. So d1, e1, we're in Atari, we can't escape, so we could just capture the ko. d2, e2, same thing. e2, white will play d2, and we cannot play d1, so all of those we just get back to capturing the ko anyways. The only way to avoid it is to play e1. Now, there's no way for white to cut these black stones off. White can Atari d2, but then we connect d1. White can Atari d1, we just capture. White could play e2, but then we connect on d1. We have enough liberties. So e1 is a safe connection. And if you think this ko here confuses matters, maybe it's easiest to just pretend a2 is filled for white. Pretend like we have made up our mind as black that we're not going to capture the ko anyways. We want to try to avoid the ko. Then we can pretend white has a stone here and think about, is it then possible to save these black stones without relying on this ko capture? And then it might be clearer that e1 is the only move here to save the stones, because you don't have to think about yes, d2, e2 captures the ko, what happens next? It's a bit messy. So we just save the stones like this, and now the ko doesn't matter because the group just doesn't have any eyes. And if we had went for this capture instead, not sure, what does it say here as the follow-up? Yeah, white plays this one, and now we have some, yes, now we'll have this ko fight. We can take here first, but white makes some ko threat, takes back, and it's a ko fight for the life and death of the group. Final problem. Oh, and this one looks hard. Black to kill, I think. Is it possible to kill, or might it be a ko? We'll have to find out together. So what's the candidate moves here? There are some cutting points. So cutting at d2 is maybe a place to start looking. We could then see white Atari on c2, or maybe b2. Actually, b2 looks like a problem, doesn't it? Okay, maybe b2 is okay, because d2, b2 we can throw in here. White captures. No, but then we would still need to take one more liberty. White can approach on this side. So I think b2 in response to this is a problem for us. But we can cut on b3. And now, obviously, if we get to play on b2, we're pretty happy. So let's say white plays b2. We can Atari c2. White captures. Then we cannot cut on d2, but we can Atari on a5. And these 5 white stones are in Atari and cannot connect. So I think this is the solution. Let's just double check. Is there anything else white can try? I don't think so. I think here is somewhat forced. And Now white tries to connect, but then we just kill all the stones. So that was a bit tricky. It was not immediately obvious to me because I thought I came this far and then I thought about this cut here, but I didn't realize we can just Atari from this side instead. Okay, those are all the 11Q problems. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.